Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast, Wrestling Edition. We have our wrestling expert back with us, Jacob Mason. How you doing today, brother?
I'm great, sir. How you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. I love these wrestling episodes we have because we cover so much stuff across wrestling, and it's always a great time to talk to you about what's going on in the wrestling world. So we're going to be hitting up a lot of things today. We're going to be giving a small review of Clash of Champions, just the highlights that stuck out. Cody Rhodes coming back. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Road Warrior Animal. We're going to talk about G1 starting. We have just a plethora of topics that we're going to talk about. But the first thing we're going to talk about is the Road Warrior Animal. Unfortunately, last week, September 22nd, he passed away at 60 years old. For anyone hardcore wrestling fans, you know his partner, Road Warrior Hawk. The Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom, probably top 3, maybe even top 2 or 1 greatest tag teams of all time. For the easily. And for the people listening in Ohio, you also know Road Warrior Animal as James Laurinaitis' father, James Laurinaitis, who played at Ohio State, All-American linebacker. And this news hit because he was only 60 years old. So he was gone too soon, in my opinion. He gave great memories when I was watching him as a kid. So it hurt a bit. And also from him with James being his son, seeing him play football. So it stung. When you saw the news that he passed, Jacob, what did you think about it?
I was really sad. You nailed on the head. The Road Warriors are a top 3 tag team, easily. I mean, if you do a Mount Rushmore of tag teams, you know the Road Warriors would have to be on there. But like you said, like we both are the same age, so growing up, you see the Road Warriors come out, and you knew it was about to be an awesome match and just exciting, and just seeing these guys come out was the equivalent of like seeing Kane come out or the Undertaker, who just like, oh, shit's about to go down. Mm-hmm. And man, seeing him hit, Doomsday, was it Doomsday device, correct?
Yeah.
I don't mess this up. Yeah. I mean, one of my earliest vivid memories of wrestling was on the trampoline with my brother and our neighbor. And I remember I was always because I was the younger brother, I always remember getting, hit with the Doomsday on the trampoline constantly. I mean, it was sad. It's 60 years old, certainly went too soon. I was re-looking at a bunch of stuff. I rewatched his Hall of Fame speech with him and Paul Ellering. And, I'm very happy he was able to get in and they didn't screw that up. So he was still alive, because Hawk was not alive when they did go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So it sucks, but rest in peace, Road Warrior Animal. I mean, I don't remember ever hearing anybody say anything bad about him. Animal. I mean, everybody always seemed to respect him. So it sucks, but yeah.
Yeah, that's really all we can say on that. Rest in peace, Road Warrior Animal. Definitely condolences to his family, and hopefully they're taking the time to grieve about it. From their side, from a wrestling side, we lost a legend, and we are used to sometimes losing our legends way too soon. So just on that note, rest in peace, Road Warrior Animal. But to go into a more happier, well, depending on how you see this pay-per-view, Clash of Champions just happened. There was really no noteworthy matchups at Clash of Champions. Maybe you could count the Drew versus Randy rematch ambulance match. So we're not going to hit on all of the matches. We're just going to hit on some highlights that we considered highlights. Jacob, did you get a chance to watch the pay-per-view or catch what happened?
I wasn't able to watch the pay-per-view. I was working on Sunday. But I did catch the highlights, and I mean, even before this pay-per-view started, it wasn't like to me, it wasn't a you have to watch this pay-per-view. It was just like, oh, this is kind of like a pay-per-view money grab in my book.
Yeah.
Because there's only 2 matches that I thought would even be noteworthy in my opinion before this even went down, which would be the Drew versus Randy, because I figured Randy was going to go over, and I was wrong.
Nope.
And the Roman Reigns match, which I don't think anybody in their right mind was going to think the Uso, was it Jay?
Yeah.
Nobody thought Jay was going to go over in that match. That's just building a storyline match. So the Randy Orton match, I mean, from everything I did see, that was pretty cool, having all the legends come out and do their stuff to help put over Drew, which I enjoyed. And the Roman Reigns match, like I said, I don't think anybody was shocked. I mean, I figured Roman was just going to go in there and just beat the hell out of him. I was shocked at the ending, didn't see that one coming, but that was okay. Like, it wasn't a super huge pay-per-view. I wasn't that excited about it. It's just a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I agree. There was nothing headline grabbing about this pay-per-view to get you to watch it. I think for me, the biggest thing I wanted to watch is that they were saying that Roman was going to come out with no shirt and maybe new entrance music. I thought that was the biggest headline of the pay-per-view. To touch on the Randy Drew match, yeah, Randy losing again to Drew. I don't think anyone saw that, but Randy does business when business needs to be done at times. And all the legends he punt-kicked along the way came back, so that was super sweet. And then, yeah, with the Roman Jay thing, I think the main problem is that, like you said, no one on planet Earth thought Uso stood a chance. If we legitimately thought Uso stood a chance and Roman actually was going to do the job for him, then I think more people would have tuned into that match. But without that, with everyone knowing he's going to win, that didn't help the match. Now, him beating the hell out of him at the end and telling him to call him Chief, that was very surprising. I guess he's going fully into a heel-ish behavior. I don't know if I want to officially call him full heel now, but he is on this thing that he is the only one who can hold the belt, and this is his company, which it is right now, and he's the tribal chief. And I've had some people ask me with this tribal chief stuff if it's going to lead to him and Dwayne at a WrestleMania to really see who beats the family. What do you think of that potential thing?
Oh, I think it's going to happen. I think that they're going. I think the Rock officially retires from wrestling. Like his big final show is going to be at Mania. It's going to be against Roman. He's going to put Roman over, and yeah, I think what honestly intrigues me more than the idea of The Rock, because I'm just like, The Rock coming back to the main event, WrestleMania, whatever. But what intrigues me more is the idea of, does Roman and the Usos create the Samoan SWAT Team 2.0?
Oh boy,
that would make me very happy. I would be very, very cool with that. That's what's your thoughts, Bob?
Can they make the SWAT team after Roman just beat Jay's ass?
Oh, absolutely they can.
Like, hey,
I think they absolutely can.
Like, hey, you work for me now. Like that. Just, and then, I think Roman in a heel faction would be really cool. I think actually seeing him lead a faction will be cool, because even when he was in the Shield, he wasn't the main talker at all.
No.
It was Dean and Seth, but Roman was the guy that they were pushing. So actually seeing him lead a faction, that'd be cool. Samoan SWAT Team. Even if people don't know that, potentially just think of it as a Samoan, maybe like a Samoan legacy, like what Orton did with DiBiase and Rhodes, since they were all from the wrestling families. And obviously this Samoan line is all wrestling families. So seeing him in heel faction would be cool. You still keep Paul Heyman in that heel faction?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Paul Heyman. No, Paul Heyman. The Usos aren't even that. They've had their moments where they've said just some great promos. My mind goes back to them in the New Day when they Oh, they were having the rap battle, which was absolutely hilarious.
Oh, that was probably the Usos' greatest promo ever, especially bringing up the X-rated video with Xavier Woods and Paige.
Yes, God, that was hilarious. So I think keep Paul as your mouthpiece. Why not have him be like the just this squirrely little like shitty kind of manager who's like the tribal chief Roman Reigns. Like, yeah, absolutely. I say keep him. I say run those three, and Rock's going to come in and be like, dude, what'd you do to our family? Blah 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 blah. They're going to end up doing Mania. That'll be that. It'll draw money.
Oh, absolutely.
I might not think it's the greatest thing ever, but it's going to draw money.
Yeah, it'll draw money. It'll be the main event. It'll sell well if we're allowed in-person stuff. It'll definitely sell tickets. Especially if you put Dwayne's name on anything, it's going to sell tickets. My only thing with that is that I would want the women of the WWE to be a part of it too, because I don't like when like the males of all of a family do a faction, and then the women are left out. If you're going to do it, screw it. Put Nia Jackson there. She's part of the family. Have her be the woman enforcer. Have her be the China. Like, throw her in there. Have her. That gives her some more purpose in the company.
Oh, absolutely. But isn't Tamina part of that whole?
Tamina's a part of it too. Yeah, throw her in there too.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Throw the women in it. Like, have them just run Raw or SmackDown or both.
Yeah, seriously.
Make it a dynasty thing.
Yeah, just do that, because it's just like you're going to throw all the men who are in it, but there's women in it too, and these two. Well, Nia gets more rub than Tamina, but throw them in there. Have them be bruisers. I mean, it's 2020. Have those big bruising women enforcers beating the hell out of some of those little guys. I mean, Nia Jackson, Tamina can pose to beat up the Miz. Like, they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, Nia was in the Rumble.
Yep, and she eliminated dudes, and she took an RKO and a six. So throw them in there too. That's a good idea. We're definitely going to have to follow that leading forward with the tribal chief. Next thing, we're going to hit up Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes came back to AEW, and he's going to have a dog collar match with Brodie Lee. What's a dog collar match? I don't think I've ever heard of this.
I'm 99% sure WWE has had dog collar matches like back in the day. Basically, you have a big chain, and on each side of the chain is like a big dog collar, and each guy wears a dog collar, so you cannot run from the other guy.
Okay.
So they're connected the entire match, and they're normally, the chain's obviously used as a weapon the entire time. And it's going for the TNT title. And I got to say, when Cody came back and just started whipping ass, that was awesome. I was very happy to see that. And then last night, Cody cut once again one hell of a promo. Cody and I don't think we realized it, or WWE realized it, how good Cody is on the microphone. His promo work is so freaking good. I don't know did you catch any of it?
I did. I caught a bit of the promo, and to go off on what you said about his promo work, I would hope WWE would have known he was this good. Look who his dad was. I mean, Hard Times is probably one of the top 3 greatest promos ever cut in wrestling. So I think that with Cody, he's definitely ascended up to being one of the best overall wrestlers, and that's like in-ring ability, promo ability of this generation. The things he's able to accomplish in the ring and outside of the ring for wrestling, he has to be near the top of one of the best of this generation.
Absolutely. 100% agree on that.
And even with him coming back, because you sent it to me, so I want to stay with AEW and Cody Rhodes because it's the year anniversary.
Yeah. We just seen that before we started this. I was like, tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of AEW being on TV now.
So with 1 year being tomorrow, for you as a fan, has AEW met expectations, exceeded expectations, below expectations?
For me, it has been, they have in some points they have exceeded my expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And other points they have pretty much stayed the same. Like they are exactly what I thought they would be. I think the Corona really screwed up everything, and
Yes.
that's just wrestling, period.
Yes.
Because the fans make up a ton of the fans are in it. The wrestlers act different. It's always, not having a whole packed arena is a huge difference. But I'd say my biggest complaint with AEW is their women's division.
Mm-hmm.
Because compared to NXT has the best women's division there is between storylines, athletic ability, promo work. They're always phenomenal in NXT. In AEW, other than Britt Baker, who I won't lie, I'm a mark for.
Mm-hmm.
It's really kind of let me down on the women's side, but they're still only a year old. They've still done all their stuff, and I'm happy. They've already had another extension on their contract to stay on TV with TNT. So they've beat NXT every single week except for, I think we said 3 weeks.
Every week except 3 weeks. So
Wednesday Night Wars, is it really that much of a war anymore? I don't think so. But I'm happy with it. I'm so glad, you have all these guys who would never, be able to do what they would, like, if they were in WWE.
Yeah.
So it's really nice. Plus it's great seeing the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, and you don't have to worry about trying to find it on New Japan or anything like that. Just flip over your TV to TNT on Wednesdays and you're seeing these guys, which is always good to see. What's your thoughts, buddy? Are you below expectations, same expectation, or higher expectations?
I wouldn't say they're at expectations. I would actually say higher, like around middle, higher. It's definitely above my expectations. When I think about AEW and it being a year, how the year's flown by so fast, but that's what happens when you're stuck half of it in quarantine. But just the vibe that AEW brings. I remember that first night it came out and seeing the fans, seeing how energized they were, seeing Jericho, Rhodes, Dustin, all of them out there. And it's been great. The product's been really good. I think the women thing is tough. I don't think they're getting the proper training or whatever development that the women get at NXT. I'm blanking on that trainer at NXT right now, but she is phenomenal. And if they could get a trainer like that, it might help them. But yeah, my biggest compliment to them is they're a whole fresh new avenue. And you hit it that people like Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, being on national TV in the U.S., I think that giving them that outlet, I think is huge. Like me personally, I know who Kenny Omega is. I know who the Young Bucks are. I know the Young Bucks are one of the top tag teams on planet Earth. I know Kenny Omega is one of the top wrestlers on planet Earth. But do my friends know that who don't scour the internet for wrestling stuff or see that thing? No. So now that they could flip to TNT and be like, oh, now I'm seeing what Martin and Jacob are talking about. This Kenny Omega guy is really sweet. Or, oh, this Young Buck team is super sweet. Like, I think that's the biggest accomplishment that AEW has had. And to go back on the Cody Rhodes thing, when you think about top 5 things WWE will regret maybe in the next 5, 10, 20 years, letting Cody Rhodes walk out that door will be their biggest regret of this decade. Because if he doesn't leave WWE, does AEW even happen?
Yes. I still think it happens.
Really? Without Cody?
Yeah, because, you have to realize, I don't think you can talk about AEW without talking about the Bullet Club.
Okay.
And the Bullet Club is still one of the hottest factions in wrestling, period. I know they're kind of, once again, they're in that transitional kind of downward spiral. Maybe not a downward spiral, but when they lost all their guys, that really kind of, they had to rebuild. But when Kenny and the Young Bucks and AJ and all those guys were in Bullet Club, it was so hot. I mean, I have 12 Bullet Club t-shirts in my closet right now with all the different wrestlers edits on it. And I think no matter what, those guys were destined to do something just so huge because people wanted a different product because WWE was not giving the fans what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the Khan family, the family that runs AEW, Tony, he's obviously a big wrestling fan. He's seen the potential in them. They certainly have the money. I think they would have done something. Would have been different, absolutely. But I think it would have happened. Maybe not exactly AEW, but something different. Something that's above Ring of Honor, but fills that niche in between Ring of Honor and WWE. That's not TNA.
Yeah, TNA. AEW just came and took their spot, and just pushed them to the wayside. I don't know. I guess when I just think about Cody and the business acumen that he showed, and the wheeling and dealing and the negotiating and putting all that work, maybe just every time I think of AEW, I think of him. It's just the same way every time I think of NXT, I think of Triple H. He's their, in my eyes, he's their Triple H to their NXT. But obviously AEW's doing better than NXT. That's just the way I see Cody, and he's a hell of a worker.
Yeah. I think another big regret that WWE will have that's along with Cody is the whole Stardust character.
Oh.
Because I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back with Cody.
Absolutely. But you think the crazy thing with Stardust, he never broke kayfabe, was never on Twitter when he was Stardust. He takes this shit serious.
Yes.
And yeah, that was a shame.
Yeah, and he didn't like it. I mean, he's went on record plenty of times saying this was not his favorite thing. He absolutely hated it. But it's nice to see that, over the past year now, especially on being the elite and stuff, every now and then they'll show the Stardust outfit that Cody has. It's always a bad flashback or something, which is always funny to see. So yeah, they're definitely regretting that. And it's not that WWE did not try hiring those guys either. Yeah. I mean, they were certainly throwing out money to them, trying to get them to come to the Vince's company.
Yeah, but WWE just puts you in that box. I would almost compare it to if you go to the New England Patriots and you have to play the Patriot way. You have to do their way or you're out of here. There's no real creativity to it unless you get them a lot of money. So, yeah, AEW, the only criticism I would have for it, and it's just recent, you don't have to take shots at WWE every 2 seconds.
I agree.
That's just kind of, to me, is showing that WWE is kind of living in your head rent free. You don't have to take shots, man. Let your shots be the ratings and people talking about you and you trending on Twitter, because that's how you decide who is successful now. And let it be. Every shot now and then when it's needed is cool, but every episode, you don't need a shot, man.
Oh, yeah, I would say just leave that on being the elite.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do tons of more funny stuff on there anyways with those kind of shots and whatnot.
Right. But going to another wrestling thing, G1 started back up. I know a lot of our viewers don't even know what G1 is. So, Jacob, why don't you tell everyone what G1 actually is?
All right, so the G1, it's for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Basically, it's their way of picking the number one contender for Wrestle Kingdom. Now, Wrestle Kingdom is their version of WrestleMania.
Huge. It's huge.
It is massive. It's at the Tokyo Dome. It's over 2 nights. It's something on my bucket list to go over and see one day. So the way they'll do this, they'll have 2 blocks. They'll have A block and B block. And they'll have they'll have 10 people in each block. And so over span of time, everybody in A block will face everybody, and you get points for winning. You'll get like 2 points for winning, 0 points for losing, and I think it's 1 point for like a no contest or time limit draw or whatnot. So that's how that works. I've been trying to keep up with it as much as I can because the only bad thing about it is that it happens in Japan. So when it's 4 a.m, our time, it's it's evening over at their time. So trying to keep up with it is normally I'll wake up in the morning, flip over to Instagram and be like, okay, so let's see what happened in New Japan today. On my ride to work. But so far, there's been we're 4 matches in, I believe, for the G1.
Yeah, 4 matches in, because I'm looking at some of the people's records, and it's looking like 4 matches total.
Yeah, I know. Now, everything we're about to say, that was updated as of yesterday. So I believe B Block is happening either tonight or tomorrow. But how much do you pay attention to New Japan?
I pay attention. I don't know necessarily about New Japan, but I definitely pay attention to wrestlers there. Like Okada, Penta, Will Ospreay, Jay White when he's there. But I'm familiar with G1 and I know what it's about, and I think it's actually a very cool thing because like right now we're talking about people from Block A and Block B, and there's records and there's points. So with a thing like wrestling, the G1 to me is so cool because it shows like as real a sport you can get in wrestling. Like it has your wins, your losses, points, and if you don't win, you drop down on the leaderboard. So it makes more those wrestling matches like, oh, this person has to win, or they're going to lose all their points or whatever like that. And it brings intrigue to me, especially people who are like competitive and stuff, because you're like, oh, if this person doesn't win, he's going to get 1 point. This person is going to get 2. It's kind of like group soccer with the points and stuff. And I think that's super cool. And I wish more people in the America would adopt something like this.
The one thing I forgot to mention is at the end, whoever has the most points of A block faces the person who has the most points of B block. And there you got your number 1 contender for Wrestle Kingdom.
See, that's just so sweet. Like if they had that in WWE, like, oh, now we could see who they want to be the number 1 contender instead of just going in the back and just picking out of a hat who they're going to feed to Roman Reigns next. Like having real competition stakes that you could put on wrestling, it's always going to be a benefit, and that's just super cool.
Mm-hmm.
But no, there's wrestlers I do like. I mean, there was a point where I thought Okada was the best wrestler on planet Earth. Will Ospreay, I thought he was the best high flyer on planet Earth. I remember his match with Ricochet. It was the same time frame as John Cena and AJ Styles' match at the Royal Rumble, and the big fan bases were arguing which one of those matches were the best matches because they have it at the same time and they're both phenomenal. I was like, man, we're getting 2 great matches from 2 completely separate companies. Let's just leave it alone.
Yes. I'd say like right now, like some of my biggest things seeing like going into it, like I'm a big Bullet Club fan. I'm one of those marks who's like, oh, Bullet Club everything. No shame in this game. But man, Jay White, shows up and he's tied in A block for number 1 right now with 6 points. He's calling it the J1 Classic instead of the G1 Classic. I'm loving it. Plus, you kind of have this power struggle in Bullet Club between Jay White, who was off for so long because of the coronavirus, and then you have Evil, who beat Naito for both their heavyweight championship and their Intercontinental Championship. So it's kind of like this thing of who's the real leader of Bullet Club. Me, I would have to say Jay White, but Jay White's got 6 points right now in A block, and he's tied with Taichi, Will Ospreay, Kota Ibushi, and Minoru Suzuki. Minoru, I can never pronounce. I'm going to butcher some of these names. But then you have Evil, who's in B block, who's only has 2 points, and he's only won one match and lost 2 right now. So that one kind of, I mean, starting off early, that one shocked me. I like just early guess. I'm like, I didn't expect that because I was kind of hoping to see Evil versus Jay in the finals, just to see who's going to Wrestle Kingdom and who's the real leader of Bullet Club. I mean, what's really cool about this tournament, because you nailed on the head. This is the most competitive, real sport like tournament there is. I mean, it's the playoffs essentially, you know. But they build like so many like little stories in it too, because you're going to have people who are in the same faction facing off with them, and then people who left this faction and went to that faction, they're going to have to face off at one point. Like, oh, there's a bunch of good stuff that's going to be happening here. Also, I mean, you got Kenta, who, for the people who do not know, he was it Tommy? What's the first name?
He was a Kiro Tommy.
Yeah,
Tom. Know that.
Yeah, I have his T-shirt. Funny enough, so I can't even remember. That shows how much or how relevant he was in WWE. Plus, it's still late night, so yeah, he's killing it in New Japan right now. He's the number one contender for the U.S. Championship. So it'll be exciting to see if he could go for if he'd end up winning it. He would face Naito for all 3 championships.
Hideo Itami, that was his name. He was a big sign for NXT too.
Oh, he was huge. He was part of the big 3 because they got Finn, they got Kenta, and they had Kevin Steen. Like all within like this 2 weeks, I think it was.
Yep.
They just had huge signings, and I mean, I think I still have the picture saved somewhere of Triple H like doing the picture that he does with all the NXT guys, but he had a picture with those 3, and it was like, oh shit, like NXT is about to get real, and you know, everybody knows what ends up happening. 2 out of 3 really succeed.
That was my favorite. Those are my favorite pastimes of NXT takeovers. When you see someone in the stands and you're like, what the heck? And then you find out they signed them. The favorite things of takeovers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I personally think if it was me, obviously we have the Royal Rumble, and that's my favorite pay-per-view whenever that goes to WrestleMania for the title. I think after WrestleMania, leading up to SummerSlam, WWE should implement a tournament like this. And then the winners of the 2 blocks fight on the pay-per-view before SummerSlam, and then that person is the number 1 contender for the SummerSlam title.
Oh, I like that idea. That's a great idea, bud.
I mean, we already have something going into WrestleMania to make the number 1 contender. And we all know whoever wins the title at WrestleMania, typically the time they might lose it is SummerSlam. So why don't you build up their number 1 contender throughout from April to August and have a tournament, with points, and then pay-per-view 4, and then have your contender, and then go to SummerSlam. You have a tournament. That would really put some intrigue, especially when it gets to summer and you lose the WrestleMania buzz and you need something to jolt it up.
Yeah, that is a phenomenal idea. Like, I'm really into this idea right now.
I am too, and I was just thinking of SummerSlam just happened. Maybe next go around SummerSlam, we try and make who we would want in the tournament, depending on who the champ is at that time, and try and map it out.
I like it.
Yeah, listeners, keep us accountable on that SummerSlam journey. We got to make that tournament.
You heard it here first.
Going back to WWE, we talked about things they would regret, like Cody, Kenta, things like that leaving. Another thing that's come up is Retribution. So Retribution took off their mask, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, and you could already tell who some of the people were. Like the girl talking was Mia Yim. I mean, they didn't even do anything to change their appearance. They had their same hair or whatever. And you brought up the thing that they're already a flop. You want to explain that?
Yeah, so, and I said this a long time ago, or a few podcasts ago now. When Retribution first started showing up, they were burning some speaker equipment or something. Just they were just burning something, and then they were taking out people's cars, and they were, putting a cinder block through a door. And the whole time, like my whole question was like, whose car did you just destroy? Whose equipment did you break? Who are you mad at? And it's just like they're just doing this with no reason, no rhyme or reason. They're just doing it, and it doesn't show like you're not drawing anybody with that. Like you're not doing anything that crazy. Like you're not Braun Strowman flipping over a car or an ambulance or something. I'm saying that with finger quotes, of course, flipping. But there's, and then what was the pay per view? I even said that. I said, where was Retribution? It was SummerSlam when Roman showed back up, and I was like, I remember asking. I said, where's Retribution? Like they should be here somewhere if they're causing such a ruckus. And then come to find out, what was it, earlier this week? Like they were around someone who had COVID, or one of them has COVID or something along those lines. But they're going to be off TV for 2 weeks, which is going to be a killer for them, in my opinion, because I mean, if you're going to build them, you have to do something. But then WWE, signs them contracts because it was costing WWE too much money to pay for everything they were destroying. So they signed them contracts. And I'm just like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like nothing about this just makes any sense whatsoever. And I'm just, I can't get behind it. And I know I'm not the only one who thinks that, because you can go on any wrestling forum right now and everyone's like, so Retribution's wearing paper plate mask and they're mad because nobody knows, or they're attacking somebody's car. Why? And whose car? Like, just nobody cares.
Agreed. Retribution sucks. And the reason that they suck is that I really think WWE is trying to recreate that awe and shock of when Nexus first burst into the scene. But the difference for me personally is, you already talked about, when Retribution came up, they were just cutting random people's stuff. Like, whose stuff was that? We don't know. We don't care. When Nexus came, they mauled the biggest star of the 2000 in John Cena. And they, like, you put John Cena, you mess him up, you cut the whole arena, and you're beating his ass for months on end. And then you have a storyline with that group, the biggest wrestling star in the world at that time, and you have that go all the way to SummerSlam, even post that with him and Wade. So I feel like they messed it up. If Retribution would have showed up when Roman came back and messed up Roman, then I would have been like, okay, they're actually going to do something with them, because you don't have someone mess up your top star in the company and then just let them disappear in 2 weeks. They would have had a long storyline. They're not even doing anything. I don't even know if I like the Hurt Business being involved with Retribution, but it is something. But it's just not the same. They didn't have the big impact that Nexus had, or even the Shield when they first showed up.
You bring up a great point there with the Hurt Business, because why would the Hurt Business care? They're a heel faction. So you got a heel faction facing a heel faction. What are you doing? Because it makes absolutely zero sense. Why would the Hurt Business care that they're, beating up whoever, cutting up the ring here? Like, what do they care? Why would they even be a part of it? It makes zero sense. Because you're not helping out the Hurt Business or Retribution at all. Like you can't help them. Like there's no way to go like, oh yeah, Hurt Business, get them. Like, oh wait, I was just booing you earlier in the show. Why are we supposed to cheer for you now? Like, what are we doing here? It just seems like a cluster, because it seems like whoever's the head writer for this is just like just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. because nothing makes sense about this.
No, it doesn't, because I remember the Hurt Business. They first Pierce, whatever his name is, who he's been getting a lot of screen time for God knows what reason. I don't know who he kissed ass to, but he's been getting a lot of screen time. And asked the Hurt Business to take care of Retribution. They're like, "Were you gonna pay us?" So they were like hitmen for hire. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. We got some hitmen. Like if you have some problems with someone, you pay the Hurt Business, beat them up, and they're about the money. I like that. But then you gave Retribution a contract, which is like this completely. So now they're just a faction. They're not some nuisance. So that was dumb. I think they need to end it sooner than later, unless something comes magical. If they get some superstar to return and lead them so they could be on screen time, or Randy Orton hires them to be his goon so he could take the championship from Drew, then we might have something. But right now, no.
What sucks is you have, in my opinion, when I think Retribution already, like I think of Mia Yim and Dominic Dijakovic, who are both great wrestlers. And I feel really bad for them. Unless there's something huge coming down the line, but I have no idea what it could even possibly be. I just feel bad for them. I'm like, you deserve better. You did great on NXT. They bring you to the main roster, and this is why everyone complains when people come to the main roster, because it's just terrible.
Yeah, and you just brought up Mia Yim and Dijakovic. Retribution beat up Keith Lee. So his best friend and his girl beat him up, and now you showed their faces, and now people are like, that makes no sense.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, they need to stop, and hopefully the next time we're on, they stop. In other news, we brought him up, The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He had a post today saying that the XFL is coming back in 2022.
Yeah.
Now, everything The Rock has touched in recent has just been absolute gold. He put his name on something, people show, people get paid, he makes a lot of money, he's on the cover of Forbes, etc., etc. With the XFL, though, this will be the third time that it's starting up. And the second time, unfortunately, got ruined because of COVID. So hopefully in 2022, it's greener pasture. So with The Rock saying it's going to start in 2022, what's your outlook on the XFL? Do you think it's going to be good with him running, Danny Garcia, that crew? Do you think it's going to be the same? What do you think?
I'm excited. I was excited when the XFL got announced for the second time, and COVID just killed it. But The Rock picking it up, like, hey, third time's a charm. I'm feeling good. And anything The Rock touches, it's going to be gold. And I think The Rock's just going to promote it just a heck of a lot more than Vince did on the second run. Because I was trying to pay as much attention to the XFL as I could, but I don't remember seeing just like tons of like commercials or sponsored ads or anything like that. I just remember Vince is doing it, and they started, it took a year, and they started having games, and then COVID hit. But I think The Rock's just going to promote it a lot more, just like he does with any of his movies or anything he does. So I think it will be a success. I mean, I'm hoping it is.
Yeah, I agree. It has Rock's name on it now, and Rock really doesn't do the whole failure thing. So I feel like him and Danny Garcia, that crew that bought it, they're going to do well. They're going to make this as legit as they possibly can. We're just going to have to wait till 2022.
Yep.
Back to Raw. The ongoing storyline, which may be the worst storyline of 2020. I'm close to saying that. I'm really close, but I think it is. Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins. This storyline has gone on way too long. It's taken up too much time. When people are watching Raw here, Courtney's been like, this needs to end. She doesn't even know. And she's like, this needs to end. And when you have casuals saying your storyline needs to end, then I think it's time it needs to end. And now, with the recent thing, Dominic that wasn't good enough, having him in big matches at SummerSlam, having him be in main events of Raw. Now you put the sister in it, and they're doing this whole defiant thing, the daddy, I'm going to go be with my dad's enemy. Jacob, what the hell are they doing with this?
The only thing I can think that they're doing with this is I think they're setting up the match, and it's just in side note. I know it seems like there's always this complaining or whatnot that when WWE builds storylines, we complain about it, but then we complain because they don't build storylines. We just want good storylines, and this storyline has just sucked. But I digress. I think they're trying to build this up so Dominic ends up facing Ray at Mania, and it'll be Ray's last match. That's my prediction. I think they're just trying to kill time. I think they're just trying to build the Mania.
It's just dumb. It's really dumb. Yeah, that's all I can say with being nice about it. It's stupid. This should have been done at SummerSlam. I thought that was the whole point. We were building up to Dominic, Seth Rollins, SummerSlam. That was going to be it. But then the Monday after SummerSlam, they're wrestling again. And I thought Ray retired. That was the point of Seth gouging his eye out. And Ray's contract expired. But now he's wrestling too. And then you have the mom coming out, who, she seems like a very nice lady. She didn't even want to hit Murphy with the kendo sticks because, like, that's not her wheelhouse. And then you have this thing with Aaliyah. And when she said on Jerry's court, well, I am 19, I was like, oh my God, we are really about to go there. We are really going to do this in 2020. Really. And then they put the text messages, and Buddy Murphy's almost freaking 40. So yeah. It's just like, why the hell is WWE putting a 40-year-old with a 19-year-old?
You nailed it on the head. It's 2020. Like, listen, in the past 2 years, how many wrestlers have we seen just vanished, essentially, because of text messages that have come up? And WWE has fired people. Other companies have fired people. The fact they even did this part of this angle blew my mind. I was like, I know she's 19, but like you said, Buddy Murphy's damn near 40. He's 30. He's 30.
He's 38. We're rounding up for 40 for this podcast.
Like, it's weird. And it's not even like it's a cool, weird. No, this is just I don't like it. I don't know anybody who likes it. The casual fans don't like it. The diehard fans don't like it. Nobody likes this. Just whoever, like, I think Vince is diehard on this. I think Vince is in the back like, oh, this is great shit. I think that's what's going on, because I think in any other circumstance, this storyline would have died like it should have. Instead, it's just really just outliving its life, and it's on life support, and it's just like, just die.
I'll go further. If this wasn't a storyline and this was really happening in the company, Buddy Murphy's ass would have been gone.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, I'll go that far. If they found out he was out there texting some 19-year-old girl in this era, and you're 40 saying stuff like that, he wouldn't be here. He wouldn't be here. And even fans were coming at this on Twitter, because I saw Alexa Bliss, who was the ex-fiance of Buddy Murphy. She was trying to support him, and fans are like, dude, he's 38. She's 19. Like, what the hell are you trying to support? And and then she got like, well, I don't know her, and I don't know. I'm just trying to show that Murphy's finally getting the screen time or whatever he deserves. And people, then how wrestling is. You have half go at the superstar, but then you have their diehard fan base fight for them and go at the other half. So it's dumb. It needs to end. I don't know where this is going now. I mean, she smacked Dominic on Monday. So now the dad's mad. Brother's going to be mad. Soon she's probably going to say something to her mom. I promise to God, if they do a 2002 thing and she ends up walking to Buddy Murphy's hotel room or locker room, I'm going to be done with it.
Yeah. Yeah, this shit needs to end. It's terrible. Nobody likes it. Why they're still pushing it, I don't know. It's not good shit.
No. And Seth Rollins, really, the "you were the father" thing, Eddie Guerrero did that 15 years ago. And I think sometimes they insult our intelligence that we didn't watch it in 2005 and just see that they're reusing almost the same exact storyline. Like, come on, man. 2020 and you were not the father. When you didn't say anything when Becky Lynch said she was going to be a mom, the internet was blowing you up because they thought you weren't the father. And that was real life because you didn't say anything. But we need to move on because I could really go in on this segment because it really irritates me, especially when that segment is on and I try and go to Monday Night Football and Monday Night Football's on commercial. So I'm stuck on it. God, it's terrible. But to happier things, NXT Takeover 31 is this Saturday. And there's really 3 big matches, and they're all for the title. Kyle O'Reilly versus Finn Balor for the NXT Championship. Candice versus Io for the Women's Championship. And Johnny Wrestling versus Damian Priest for the North American Championship. Johnny and Candice are trying to be the first married couple to hold the NXT titles 2 out of the 3 in real time at the same exact time. And Kyle O'Reilly, this is the first person we've seen outside of Adam Cole get an NXT main title shot. And I'm excited for that match. I don't think he's going to win, but I'm excited to see someone else outside of Adam get that NXT title shot. And with this, it actually might be going in the direction that you've talked about every podcast about the breakup of Undisputed Era. It's starting to look that way potentially.
Yeah. How'd you know? How'd you know I was going to bring it up?
Every episode, man, you're gonna die on that horse.
I will die on this hill. I will die on that horse. It's happening. Now, what's your predictions for the Damian Priest Johnny Gargano match? Because that's the one match that I'm like, it could go either way.
I think it's a toss up. I think you're betting in Vegas, flip a coin. Damian just got that title, and I was so happy for him because that man needed that title. He's put on great matches and taken the L, but he finally got his shine. But Johnny Wrestling at TakeOver is a different human. Like, what he does at takeovers are just phenomenal, and they might put the strap on him. I would be interested to see if his match goes before Candice's, because I think both of them are getting titles or none of them are winning this time. That's how I feel. So if Candice goes first and she actually beats Io Shirai, I think Johnny's going to win, and they're actually going to have that couples picture together. Because it ruined the storyline if one wins and one doesn't.
Yeah, I see. I think Candice is going to be Io for the women's title. Like that one, I think is more of a simpler pick for me. I like a heel Candice. I hope they let Candice do. I want her to stay a heel, but I want her to do better heel stuff. And I know she can do it. Mm-hmm. I know she can be like the baddest bitch there. Mm-hmm. Because I watched her take a shoe full of thumbtacks and get super kicked by the Young Bucks when her and Joey Ryan face the Young Bucks in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. She can take a bump. She's a bad bitch, and I hope she wins. The Damian Priest Johnny Gargano match, I'm playing favoritisms here. I want Johnny to win, but at the same time, I'm so happy seeing Damian Priest with the title. I'm like, I don't want him to lose it yet. If he had it for another few months, I'd be okay with it. I'm like, God, this is kind of early. I will say this much: when they did announce that they were doing this takeover, it just kind of seemed really sudden. But I like the way they're building it. They're building it a lot better than I thought they would.
Yeah, man. First, when they said NXT Takeover, like it was 2 weeks ago, I was like, can we just do 30? Like, what are we going to do with 30? And then they came up with these 3 big matches, and I think they're going to still, I mean, takeovers always perform. They either perform at your expectations or above it. I've never really watched a takeover. I'm like, oh, this sucked. It wasn't something like freaking a backlash in WWE where it could have been really trash. But takeovers do what takeovers do. So I'm excited. I'm gonna try and well, obviously I gotta watch them because we gotta review them the next time we're on, especially if there's title changes. So we're definitely gonna have to keep watch of that.
Now, I know I sent this to you right before we started. Now, I'm just gonna throw it out there, the good old hot take of the podcast here. Adam Cole tweeted, Kyle, this is what he tweeted. He said, Kyle has worked his ass off for years. And Sunday at TakeOver, Kyle will get what he deserves. There is nobody that has your back more than me. Nobody. The hashtag WWE NXT at Coral Combat. So I think Adam's going to come in and try and help Kyle, and he's going to screw him over. And the bold prediction that was made on the very first wrestling podcast, it's going to turn into it. And I can't wait. And if it happens, and we kick off a podcast, I'm coming in saying I called it. Oh, yeah, we heard it here first. I'm gonna be so happy, and just so I can say I was right.
That situation is very possible, and I'm definitely gonna be on the lookout for that because I could see something where Finn's about to hit him with the coup de grace, and Adam comes and just like you said, messes it up, and he actually gets hit, and he's looking. And Adam's the last person he sees, and even though they all get instant replay when they go to the locker room and can rewatch the match, they try and act like they didn't see that the person was trying to help, and they have like blinders on, which again, stupid. But I digress. Also in October, just WWE, they're doing a draft. So I guess they're redrafting where everyone's at or certain people are at. My question is, with this draft, should NXT be included?
Oh, I think NXT should be included. If WWE claims that NXT isn't the developmental, if NXT is just the third brand, why shouldn't they be part of that? Plus, I think there's a bunch of wrestlers on that main roster that should go back down to NXT and just kill it. Ricochet is probably like my first pick to go to NXT because he was so much better in NXT because they don't know what to do with him on the main roster.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I would send back. To be honest, I send back Keith Lee. I mean, he had his great thing but now he's getting beat up by his girlfriend. Well, now. And then Ricochet, Kevin Owens was one of my bigger ones too. Alistair, but I could for next time. After we see this draft, we'll talk about who we would have set back, and we'll have that ready for everyone so you can listen to our draft, what we would have done. Another thing that came, I alluded to this, that this was breaking as soon as we recorded. This is coming from Ringside News, so take it for what it's worth. I've read some of their stuff. They're pretty credible. WWE taking, and remember, before I go into this title, our last podcast, which you should listen to before you listen to this part, we hit the third-party ban, and we talked about it for about half the podcast. So really listen to that before you're about to hear what I'm about to say. WWE taking ownership of superstars' Twitch accounts.
What?
As you guys know, if you listen to the previous episode, WWE had the third-party ban, which included Cameo, Pro Wrestling Tees, which was supposedly okay. But now, according to Wrestling Inc., Superstars received an email from Vince stating they have till October 2nd, which is tomorrow, by the way, depending on when you listen to this, to sever any unauthorized business relationship with third parties. If Superstars don't comply, they'll be fined, suspended, or fired. And WWE also informed Superstars that the company will be taking over their Twitch account in 4 weeks. So what that means is they'll own the Twitch accounts ran by Superstars, and Superstars will receive a percentage of the revenue. And that money counts against their downside guarantees. So essentially, WWE is going to WWE is going to get a cut of the Twitch money now from the Superstars. And Jacob, what the hell is this?
It's some shit. You ask me. It's some bullshit.
It just happened when we started recording.
Oh shit. Yeah, okay. So this is news to me. Yeah, that's some bullshit. Like that is some absolute shit.
And we don't know how official this is, but this is coming from Ringside News and Wrestling Inc.
Yeah, I imagine by the time this drops, there's going to be a bunch more information on this. But damn, first reactions, you got to be kidding me. Like seriously, like okay, like you're not even going to give these people like health coverage or even offer it. Like seriously, they're just making that side money. They're just doing their side hustle, just making some, extra money. Nah, we're going to nix that. Like, come on. Damn it, Lana. This is all Lana's fault.
I told myself today I actually would not say anything about Lana because of
we're saying it.
Because of listening to last episode, I've realized I actually do not like her. So I'm trying to be nice to Miss CJ Perry today. But and Lana, I get it. You're very beautiful and you have great assets, but if you would have kept them off of Bang freaking Energy, and you know what, it's 2020, and I'm going to be equal, the Manscaped boys, if you would have not recorded a commercial in the damn locker room when you're catering, then this wouldn't have happened. And I think to be honest, if I'm in the WWE, I have to shoot wrestle them in the back or something. Like they're going to have to see me because this is ridiculous.
Oh, they're going to catch some heat. That's a fact.
Yeah, it's. I would consider going to AEW if AEW would want you.
Oh, yeah. Get that Tony Khan money.
Yeah, because by the time this drops, there's going to be probably 600 articles and tweets and Facebook posts about this, and we're not going to know what to do. And again, if you've not listened to our deep breakdown of the third-party ban, we broke it down our last wrestling podcast. Really listen to that one because we break this down in so much detail because it deserved its own episode. We're gonna have to wait and see. This is bad. Like this is almost code. To be honest, if I'm someone in the back, I'm calling John Cena and be like, yeah, you need to come talk to Vince. Or you need to call Dwayne and be like, hey, you need to call like a mega star to come talk to him. Because this is bad.
Oh, yeah.
You might have to call Undertaker or Stone Cold, any of them to come back. Anyone who could look Vince in the eye and like, Vince, this is a piece of shit. You got to stop. You need one of those mega stars.
Yeah. Well, buddy, I'm not going to lie. It looks like we have like a minute left.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. You got anything else you want to say? I mean, we can.
No, I think we're good. I think we're covered, man.
Holy God, the Rey Mysterio.
We're gonna have to cover more of this next podcast.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be fired. This and if Rey Mysterio storyline's still going on, I'm gonna need 30 minutes of vent time. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Lana. Gosh damn it, Lana. But all right. Thank you, Jacob, for coming on and speaking that good wrestling knowledge to everyone. We appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for listening to the L7C podcast. We're definitely coming back 2 weeks from now. Every 2 weeks is a wrestling podcast out. Catch up on our other ones. They're fantastic. They're always in our top 5 of most listened. So peep those if you haven't, and then catch up on this one. Once again, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.